As the opioid crisis rages on across the U.S., an insurance fraud scheme is preying on addicts trying to beat their disease. A Boston Globe Stat News investigation found some treatment centers are using the addicts to defraud insurance companies. The report says centers pay patient brokers, as they are called, to recruit addicts from across the country, sign them up, often using fake addresses from states with generous insurance benefits. Then they order treatment and tests, billing the insurance companies whether the patients are recovering or not. Founder of Hand-Delivered Hope, Linnell Cox, has seen these problems firsthand while her son was undergoing treatment for opioid addiction. She joins me now. Good to see you again, Linnell.
Nice to see you again.
Along with the journalist behind the story, Globe reporter Evan Allen. Hi there, Evan. And stat reporter David Armstrong. Congratulations to the two of you. Can I start with you for a second? Fill in the blanks, if you can, for a minute. People with addiction are identified. They get often free insurance, often free transportation to a Florida treatment center. Then what happens?
Well, they go down there and they find out it's not quite what they expected. It's not the tropical luxury rehab they were promised. They're not getting meaningful treatment. And in a lot of cases, what's happening is once the patient brokers get paid, they stop paying their insurance. And they're out on the street, they're in a strange place, and they relapse and in some cases die.
But my understanding is sometimes the treatment centers pick up and my understanding from your story, pick up the premiums because it's far cheaper to pay the premiums as compared to the benefit you, the treatment center, receive from the insurance company. Is that not so?
That's true as well. Both scenarios are true. But then what happens is your insurance benefits max out, and then they stop paying. And again, if you haven't recovered, you're out in the street in a strange area, and bad things happen.
What's the success rate of these? I know you can't, well, I'm asking you to generalize. The success rate of these treatment centers that are part of this collusion, for lack of a better expression, how well do they do with the men and women who are sent to them?
You know, we talked to people that had been through these centers, and a lot of them said they weren't getting any treatment at all. It was sitting in a room playing hangman games. There were people coming in off the street and flirting or engaging in sexual relations with people inside the treatment centers. There was open drug use without people being kicked out.
So they're being housed, essentially, and that's about it.
Right. I mean, the point isn't to get better. The point is to make money off their insurance until they can't anymore.
You know, one of the things that many things troubled me, I'm sure, as virtually everybody read this thing, but when you profile the brokers who you identify in many of these cases, they almost do like a Captain Renault imitation from Casablanca. I'm shocked that creating a fake address in a state where the patient has never lived, I'm shocked that it's illegal. I'm shocked that it's illegal to pay to send someone to a treatment facility where they're not going to get treatment. How have they survived this long with what at least I consider, I'm editorializing, not you, the phoniest of covers in terms of, I didn't know it was illegal.
Well, I mean, we don't know that's their story. Whether they believe that or not, I can't tell you. But one of the most insidious, awful things about what's happening is the people you're talking about are people in recovery themselves.
The brokers are often in recovery.
Yeah, so they're preying upon a group who they know what they're going through and what they're seeking. And that, to me, is the most horrific thing about this.
You know, Linnell, I spoke to you, I couldn't remember how long ago. You were here 2 years ago. And your son was somebody who had been kicked out when Long Island closed. And when I spoke to you, it was in April of 2015, you said your son was in a Florida treatment center. I looked it up, and you said he was doing well. That was 2 years and a couple of months ago.
Yep.
Fast forward to today. How has he done in the interim down there?
So he did really well there. I can speak for the scholarship that my son received, and as far as I compare it to what I knew then, Jim, and what I know now, he received the very best treatment that any dollar could ever buy.
And he has in this whole interim period?
In the whole period of time he's been there. So I think it's unfair for us to say that all the treatment centers down there are not doing their job.
Well, they aren't saying all the treatment. In all fairness, they're not saying all the treatment centers. They're saying some of them are. But all of his experiences have been good.
As far as when he was down there, until he did have a relapse and he went into the streets and he was patient brokered, and that was horrific.
Oh, so he did ultimately experience what they're writing about.
Absolutely.
So describe, when you say he was patient brokered, using it as a verb, what happened to him?
He was solicited. He was solicited in AA halls, he was solicited in the corner markets, he was solicited everywhere down there. And even when he was sober, he was solicited, and he would tell me about it.
And once he was solicited and placed, he didn't get the level and quality of treatment that he had gotten in the past?
Correct.
What's the deal with him now? How's he doing now?
So he's doing okay, but he's seeking treatment.
You know, speaking of being, what's the expression you use? Broker, whatever?
Patient brokered.
Patient brokered. How do these brokers identify the people who are going to be, for lack of a better expression, the victims of these schemes?
Sure. So the people that we featured in our story are very much players in the recovery world, and Michael Hislop, in fact, had a good reputation as a man who you could depend on. You could call in the middle of the night. So they know these people. I mean, a lot of the people that are working as patient brokers, they started out working in the treatment world, and that means that they have these connections to all of these people. They know the meetings, they know who knows who, so it's really
So was I
it's a big
unfair
network.
2 minutes ago when I said that I find it not credible that some of these brokers say I didn't know I was breaking the law, is that they're just putting hope on top of hope in expectation they can do something good like was done for them, or am I being realistic?
I think one of the things we need to focus on is why people are looking to go outside of the state and why they are desperate and taking desperate measures and why they are, because we do not have adequate treatment here. We do not have enough treatment beds. We do not have enough detox. And more importantly, we do not have a continuum of care that helps keep people sober.
You buy that?
Why people want to leave?
Why they want to leave Massachusetts?
Yeah, a lot of the people that we spoke to, you know, they had sort of done, some of them called it the Massachusetts tour, and they hadn't gotten anywhere. And so that's when they're really most vulnerable to this scam, is when they've, you know, exhausted all their relationships, they've exhausted all their family's money, they've been sectioned or they're in jail. And then somebody says, well, look, you can get away from everything. We'll send you to Florida, your flight's paid, your insurance is paid, don't even worry about it, you don't even need to do the paperwork. It seems like a lifeline.
So there are two sets of people, it seems to me, who need addressing here. One are the patients who need better and more honest care, like you've become an advocate for. But the flip side, and I'm sure you're covering this in the future, is the Attorney General doing anything about this? Is Blue Cross in places like Pennsylvania, which you profile, which gives very generous benefits, are they going to better police themselves, either out of selflessness or selfishness? What's the next chapter of the story?
Well, the Attorney General put out a public alert.
Our Attorney General.
Yes, warning people about the scams. But we haven't seen any enforcement, any action taken against people. Similarly, we haven't seen that at the federal level. So, you know, whether or not they have something that they're investigating right now, we're not really sure.
So the people that run these treatment centers are not under investigation in Florida?
I did see an article and followed it. In Florida, there is a task
they've
force.
They've created a task force, and they've actually been cracking down. And now what you see is people leaving Florida because the heat is on. So, I mean, certainly there has been a crackdown, but if you only crack down in Florida, then everybody leaves Florida and it goes somewhere else.
You know, Leslie, does this, in a perverse way, give you more leverage to advocate for what you want in Massachusetts that you think you're not getting? Meaning that if they leave to go to another state and then get treated like this, does this allow you and others like you to make a stronger case?
It does,
we gotta
Jim.
do better here?
It does, but my fear is that the insurance companies will then turn around, the ones that do offer adequate coverage, and then they're going to tighten their budgets and they're going to make it more stringent and harder for people to access good care, because there is good care here in Massachusetts.
Well, they should tighten their budgets vis-a-vis fraud. I assume you agree on that front,
exactly,
correct?
Exactly.
So you say there is good care. We only have 30 seconds left. So the problem is what? Just not enough of it?
Not enough. Continuum of care, I think, is we can continue to build detox bed and treatment beds, but if we don't have a continuum of care, our death toll in Massachusetts is going to continue to rise.
Linnell, good luck with your
advocacy.
advocacy.
Thank you so much,
your
Jim.
son and Evan and David, terrific writing, and keep doing it.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you so much. Please read it in the Boston Globe.